Hi guys, I'm Jack. I was in charge of the GUIs for this project, but I began working on the code too because I need some help. Before I get to that, here's the GUI. Well, we made it. We made this on Canva. We have this score combinations. Here's the board, the place where you put the dices. Here's what it would actually look like. You just run it. I didn't make this. This is what the game would look like. The combinations, the welcome, total scores. The total scores will begin to display once they start playing. Player 1, player 2. You can click on the dices. You can press roll or end. And here to fill up the gaps, we have a personal total score counter and a temporary score before the player's turn ends. And we just have a little message sheet thing here, like tell the players if it's invalid or if the code works or not code works, if the combination works or not. For the coding aspect, I did the roll button, the hold button, and the end button, and these 6 buttons as well. Let's say I'm player 2 and I'm really bad at Farkle, and I select those two, invalid, and it displays invalid, but I still get to pick more. I'm gonna roll again. As we can see, none of these match any combinations, so I'll have to end.
Oops, I farkled.
As you can see, the Farkle message gets displayed. Total score. Remember how we had like about like 100 score? I did not transfer over because we got a Farkle, and if we had score here, it would get turned to 0. So now, yeah, back to player 1. They have to roll again, and this keeps going on until somebody reaches 10,000 points first. For a lot of this code, we used helper functions. These are like our helper functions. Here is a calculate score function. It's just to calculate all of these possible combinations. These functions, like check for pairs, check for singles. Alright, so right here, roll button pushed. So in here, I have a little code I wrote that helps find the game media file, which contains all the assets needed for this. And we also included a little error message if we can't find a file. I decided to add that because while coding, it wouldn't work for like many of the attempts because I couldn't find the file. So I just decided to add a little message just in case if the game crashes or like something's missing, so you can like know what's wrong. This randomizes the values 1 to 6 on the dices, icons, and this toggles on and off the button like this. See, after you press roll, you won't be able to press roll again until you hold something or you end your turn and it's the other player's turn. We're on to the next one, the hold button. This is a major one, the hot dice. So if all 6 dices are held, the player can roll again, try it, and play as like is there at the beginning of their turn. It just checks that all of them are like down here, and it resets everything. This is the score to display the score. So this is where it uses the helper function. If the calculate score function gets 0 because none of it are valid, we have a little if statement here. It'll display right here that it's not valid, and you can go back and change your combination until it is. But to manage the Farkle, that will be on the end button, which we'll go to right now, right here. So, as we can see, there's a Farkle on the audio here as well. For the Farkle, if nothing are held, like here, and I rolled already, and I press end,
Oops, I farkled.
as you can see, the score was 100 earlier. Now it's back to 0. A little audio plays, and yeah, and here, yeah, the winning condition, which is 10,000 or more points. We don't have the time to play a full match, but maybe one of our other members will show it to you, or you'll just have to believe in us. And yeah, here's the final command, which switches the player between 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 under the assumption that player 1 is always first.
Hi there, my name is Jonathan Ferrer, and my main roles in this project were to implement sounds and animations. However, I did help with writing some of the code and built the background image that the app is built on. So The first animation that I implemented is on the roll button, and then I also implemented a sound on the roll button. So here you'll hear a dice rotating sound, um, and then that is in a callback function as the dice gets rolled, and that is right here. I use a randi function to create a vector between 6 random integers between 1 and 6, and then I add a small delay of 0.1 seconds to show that. So as the image is rotating, it makes it seem like as the dice is rotating. So it's like shuffles in a way, and then it displays the appropriate value. Another part that I am responsible for is a slide animation, which occurs when you tap the button and then the button slides into this box. And then the code for that is right here. First I was having an issue where the animation wasn't smooth, but I used the interpolate position formula, which helps smoothen the transition, and then I also added a delay to help it to make it look nice, or help with the smoothness. And then the start and end positions are predetermined, and they could be adjusted through this property. I also added another audio feature where when a player hits a Farkle, it plays a sound.
Hello, I am Catherine Yee, and I was responsible for doing part of the code, a lot of debugging, as well as working on ThinkSpeak, which did not make it to the ultimate file for submission. So if the code were to work, the user with ThinkSpeak on would be able to see selected their player and then start the match. They would be also able to see the instructions for the game. And if you're selected as player 1, you can go through all the steps that were mentioned before. You would have to wait. If you were to start the game as player 2, you would have to wait for player 1 to finish moving and then be able to move. However, while coding, we weren't able to switch the players because of some reading errors. I also worked on, along with my teammates, on the animation as well as where the dice would be moving throughout the game. And this function handle here would allow for a quicker transition in order to like mass control all the components. Components were put in certain array and controlled through the code. How I move the dice throughout the game is whether the dices, which are buttons, are clicked or not. If it's clicked, it moves to a selected position. If it's not clicked, it moves back to its selected position, which is set within each of the dice's code. As you can see throughout this demonstration, most of the buttons were invisible, some of the buttons were on. The instruction button instead is done through overlaying the instructions on top, making it invisible, then clicking the instruction button to make it visible, and to go back to the screen for the player to whether to start their match or select their player, they would click this back button.